In the weeks leading up to Easter, as I'm planning my menus for our Easter lunch with family and Easter Sunday breakfast together, there are always a few things that I simply have to make. Most of these traditions tend to be sweetbreads. My mom always makes dozens of little Pascha buns, all iced and topped with colorful sprinkles. My sister makes the most picture-perfect braided challah loaves that are so fluffy and rich. And I always like to make hot cross buns. I remember walking downtown Toronto in March years ago, past this little bakery and seeing pans full of hot cross buns in the window with little colored eggs sitting on top. Somehow, they've just become synonymous with Easter. The problem is, no one in my family wants to eat a traditional hot cross bun. So I gave up and just started making my own variation. These are chocolate hot cross buns. Recipes for hot cross buns can be so varied, some quite dense and loaded with candy fruit and raisins and quite spicy. Others are more roll-like and lacking the spice that's usually present. I think everyone has their own version they think is superior, and often nostalgia has a lot to do with it. So, for the actual process of making the dough, I begin by getting everything laid out in front of me, mise en place, as Martha Stewart would say. I then warmed my milk and added it to my bowl with the yeast and some sugar to get it activated and doing its thing. Then I melted my butter and added that to my wet ingredients. From there, I added the rest, all of my dry ingredients, the flour, the sugar, the salt, the spices, ginger, cinnamon, and cardamom, as well as my eggs. Everything was mixed together into a slightly shaggy, sticky dough, which I turned out and kneaded until it was nice and smooth and elastic. To do the chocolate variation, I simply substitute chocolate chips for the raisins and have the spices usually called for. Also, and very importantly, I skip the flour mixture for the cross and simply pipe a royal icing cross instead. I like the added bit of sweetness, but I know all the traditionalists are in an outrage. I just don't mind. And speaking of sweetness, we enjoy ours warm with lots of butter and a sprinkling of sugar on top. At the end of kneading, I pressed out my dough gently and added my chocolate. Then I folded it all up and kneaded it a few more times to evenly distribute it throughout. I greased my bowl and then set my dough to rise, covered, until it had doubled in size. It took about an hour and a half, and once risen, I made a rough rectangle of the dough, which made it easier to divide up. To form the buns, I simply tucked it all in towards the center, pinching the seam together. Then I turned them over and gently pulled them to create tension and even out the little balls of dough. They get placed on a lined sheet and covered so they can rise a second time. I let them sit again for another hour and a half until they've puffed up beautifully. I baked them until golden for about 22 minutes, and then while they cooled, I made my glaze. This was like a simple syrup, just water and sugar and a bit of vanilla that I let reduce. Then I brushed the tops so that they get that perfect glossy finish. I made a small batch of royal icing to pipe, just meringue powder, water, and powdered sugar, and piped simple crosses on top. Because I made 2 dozen, we were able to enjoy half ourselves with tea, and the other half I divided and wrapped in cello. Tied with a pretty ribbon, these make a wonderful gift to bring along if you're going anywhere for Easter. I found these little snowdrop garden ornaments that look pretty tucked in the bow and are a sweet addition to a little spring pot. I know there are many traditional recipes we enjoy this time of year, but for us, hot cross buns are a beautiful reminder of the sacrifice Christ made for us. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Philippians 2, verse 8.